All right, we are live. Grizz Nation, we are back. Fight on Montana here. We have a great episode with you. We're going to talk about the Butler recap. We'll go into Utah Tech preview. But first, I got to say thank you again for Luke coming on again, my co-host, partner in crime. It is always good to talk some football and some sports for Montana. First of all, guys, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Apple, we have like 23 reviews, which I know for a fact there's way more people that listen to this podcast. You guys can be giving us some 5-star reviews there. And then also go look on the YouTube. FCS Fans Nation has a great network that they've started. A whole lot of content. If you're just looking for some content to work out to or the drive home, there's a lot of great stuff there as well. So Luke, how's the week going, man?
Oh, it's going pretty good. It's with Labor Day, it's a pretty short week already. It's kind of nice thinking that Saturday will be here before we know it, and we get more Grizz football, which is always great.
Yeah, this week I'm so off. Like it's like, okay, so today's Monday, and no, it's Tuesday, and Tuesday's done. We're on to Wednesday, so it's kind of crazy. This quick schedule, quick week.
It's flying by now for our boys in the football team. They had no change. It was still practice as usual on Monday, even though it was Labor Day. The rest of us that fortunate to have it off, it was kind of nice to have that little break.
Well, I listened to the press conference, and they still had the press conference too, which I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine send that to me that afternoon. I forgot all about it. Like, they're still doing that.
So yeah, hey guys, before we get into football, we just we want to try to give props to where props is due. We want to kind of go over some of the things that are happening in Grizz athletics. So volleyball, coming off a great year last year where Coach Lawrence won Big Sky Coach of the Year. They have not shied away from playing top-rated teams. They started I believe it was an exhibition at Carroll.
Yeah.
They won that one, and then they played an amazing tournament in Missoula where they played Utah, Texas, Rio Grande Valley, which is a good volleyball school. They're top in their conference. They played Pitt, which is top or number 5. They were, and then BYU. All those were losses. They did play BYU where they were 3-1 in that game. They got their first win this week over Binghamton, 3-2, and they lost to Buffalo 3-1, and they lost to DePaul 3-1. But those are some bigger schools that we're fortunate in playing. They do have the UND Classic coming up this week, the September 7th, 8th, and 9th. Where
didn't we win that last year too?
We did. I believe we did.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, they play Green Bay on Thursday. They play New Mexico on Friday, and then North Dakota on Saturday. So definitely go watch them. If you have ESPN Plus, I love ESPN Plus. You can go and just watch everything. Amazing. They really have that program going too, which is awesome to see. They really work hard in that program, and Coach Lawrence has got it going on. So definitely go check them out, guys. Women's soccer, man, they have been on a tear this year. Oh my gosh, they're 5-0-1. That one being a draw or a tie. I guess they call it a draw, right?
It was a draw to Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that's a win.
Yeah. Well, like from what I've heard in that second or the end of the period, I'm not a big soccer guy, but we looked like apparently the better team. When we were going for them and trying to win that game. So
yeah,
where I think Ohio State was just trying to get out of there.
Yeah, I think we owned like 80% of the percentage of the possession, and so that's a huge accomplishment right there.
Yeah.
Going up against a Big Ten school, which just going off of what we went through, just getting them here, that's amazing in itself. But also we played Utah Tech. We won that one 4-0 this weekend. And then, the big one this Sunday, we beat Oklahoma 1-0. And it was, which I was kind of confused about. They played them in Spokane.
Yeah, I was in Spokane, and
yeah. So
I'm not sure what that was about, but I don't think the coach or the team's afraid to go play anybody anywhere, and getting them in like that's huge. And Ashlyn, I'm going to pronounce her last name wrong, Dvorak. She got Player of the Week for
awesome.
Defensive Player of the Week for the Big Sky Conference too.
And so she's a freshman, I believe, isn't she? Or is she a redshirt freshman?
I think you're right. Yeah. So big. I mean, that's huge. Our soccer team is just constantly on the rise, and those girls are out there just kicking butt. So,
and I think that's the first Division I win, I believe, in Coach C's time here, but I believe maybe even overall as well. We've had good teams and made it to the tournament, haven't been able to get over that hump. Man, we've got some great games coming up this weekend too, guys. I know we've got an away football game, so there's no reason why you can't go watch some football. Here in Missoula, we've got Colorado State coming this Thursday at 5 p.m. and then Sunday at 1 p.m. Versus Georgia Southern. So, and then that next Thursday, Miami, Ohio is coming to town as well. So, go support these ladies and this team. They're working hard. I can't wait to see what happens at the end of the year and get into the Big Sky Conference and see what they can do, stay healthy, and see what kind of run they can make.
Now, the way they're playing right now, they could make a lot of noise in the tournament this year.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and it's so crazy. You look at that Oklahoma game and that Ohio State game, and, usually you kind of have, a drop off in talent, but there's no drop off in talent. We have very good, talented players. And so that's great to see with the program that Coach C has. And then also just the ladies that are putting the time in and working hard. So mad props to them.
Coach C talked about that in an interview, that now they got that Oklahoma win. It's like, okay, that's off our back. And when we get into that NCAA tournament, why not us make it past the first round or the second round and the third and keep going? So he's got them definitely going the right direction, and it's exciting.
Exactly. Well, let's get into it, man. Some football over the weekend.
Yeah.
We won, guys, 35-20. Some people out there are going to be probably, oh, that's great. And some people are going to be there's probably going to be two parties, right? I think probably I'm going to be more in the middle. I think, Luke, you're maybe to the one side or maybe in the middle as well.
I'm more to the positive side. We're 1-0 with a chance to go 2-0.
Yep.
I saw a lot of positive things. There's definitely stuff that needs to be worked on, but I would say more positive than negative. I mean, I'll just say it. Vidlac, that's like his first, and Clifton, they haven't really played a live college football game.
No.
And some of those throws that like Vidlac was making were just dimes. And I saw more receivers not catching them than him making mistakes. I mean, definitely there was a few decisions that he made that were poor, but for the most part, he was killing it out there. I mean, that offense and the offensive calling and everything just looked way different than I was used to over like last year.
Yeah, and let's kind of go into the numbers, guys, and then we can go offense by defense. But rushing wise, we ran the ball really well. Eli Gilman ran the ball really well. We had 230 yards to their 41 yards. Yep. Passing, they beat us actually on passing 211 to 263. I think we were more balanced overall with having that 441 as an overall, and they had a 304. The penalties, for our first game, I really didn't see too many penalties. Not bad, like egregious ones. We did have 65 yards of penalties, which is kind of a little high.
There was a couple penalties that holding calls in the middle of the game. I was having a hard time seeing what the heck the ref was seeing.
So. Those back-to-back holding calls that brought back touchdowns. Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty impressive. Touchdown, and then give us a few seconds, touchdown. So that's You don't
That's why,
see that too often.
yeah, that's why I said like I didn't think it was too bad because those probably weren't.
Yeah.
And plus, I think that they got the wrong number. They put it on AJ, and I think Chris Walker tackled the guy.
Yeah, I think one was on Walker.
If you're gonna call it, you gotta call it right. I think
Yeah.
Walker like smashed him to the ground, which is awesome to see, anyways. But we did okay. In that realm, I think we held our own. I think that what people have to get through their minds is that this was not a poor Pioneer League team. This was not a team where you're going to beat by 40 points. Our predictions, we thought they would be a little bit more, but like you were saying, Luke, is we had two quarterbacks. Yeah, their grade level says junior and sophomore, redshirt sophomore, but these guys have not had any experience. They are freshmen and they're playing.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with you, Vidlac, even though 15 of 25, 180, one touchdown, 2 picks, one of those picks wasn't his fault. It was Joe Bolden.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault at all. I mean, that was in the hands, and then it flipped over here.
Yeah, and a lot of those passes were great passes that I think the receivers could have, made that catch. One of those, that beautiful long ball, which I love saying again, long ball. Because last year we didn't have that.
Yeah.
And White just tripped over the other guy's feet, but it was put perfectly.
I'm sure people in the stadium were thinking that's PI or something. They just get feet tangled and stuff. And that happens. But it was, if that didn't happen, it was a perfect ball. That was going to be touchdown.
Yep. So a lot of those passes where he threw them hard or he threw them on a line over the guy, over the defender into a tight window. I thought he did really, really well.
Yeah.
And so McDowell, he did what he does, right? He runs the ball, and thankfully he kind of got us into a rhythm where we kind of needed it.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing that like we haven't even seen all of what McDowell can do. Like he can throw the ball too, but I think at that point, in the second half, it was like, let's just go in there and hammer this team down and, get our own line rolling and start pancaking people and get some yards. But I mean, as far as Vidlac goes, to me, just the eye test, he looks the part. Like, like a starting quarterback that can play college football. So I mean, I think we're just going to keep seeing him progress and get better and better as he gets more comfortable. And I mean, I don't care who you are. First game in Washington Grizzly Stadium, that crowd's going nuts. You run out of the tunnel, your adrenaline is full bore. You got to kind of settle yourself back down. So that was going on with him too. And as he plays there more and just sees all this stuff, I think it's going to help him.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think they kind of committed that second half to the run as well, just to kind of get through the game. And that kind of just led to McDowell kind of having those reps. But I hope, later we see some packages where Vidlac and McDowell are on the field at the same time. I think that could be really beneficial moving on. But man, I was super, super impressed with Vidlac. Some of the snaps I thought were a little high.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it was just,
I know it was hotter than the bejesus down there on the field. And, as a former lineman, your hands start sweating and you just got sweat rolling everywhere. And it makes it harder to grip that ball. And I think that could have been it. I mean, it's one thing snapping the super hot, another thing snapping the super cold too. And our players get a taste of both of it from the beginning of the season to the end. So I think that probably had a lot to do with it, just how dang hot it was. I think Sean Rainey had a temperature gauge down there and it was almost 120 on the field. That's
ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And I did see, a lot of the missed opportunities where we didn't make a play, or the receivers didn't catch the ball where it could have been a little bit more of a better score. We had two red zone, two red zone areas where we didn't get touchdowns, but we got field goals out of, which are good. And that's the other point is like kicker looks
We
pretty
got
good.
we got a field goal kicker.
We got it, and he's a freshman, so hopefully, we'll knock on wood.
That
We
ball
keep
comes
him.
off his foot real nice, and
Yeah,
I thought he looked very, very good. And
yeah,
they weren't afraid to put him out there and let him go for it. So it's refreshing to see that, especially with our carousel over the last few years between kickers and punters. I thought the punter looked good too, but
yeah.
the one thing I was thinking, and I didn't look this up, but I don't think Vidlac got sacked. I don't think they had a sack. I thought our offensive protection looked pretty dang good, like as far as our pass pro goes and stuff.
Yeah.
They were doing a nice job setting that pocket up for him,
Yep.
and giving him time. I mean, I know he did get rushed out and had that one grounding thing, and that was just because I don't think he got the ball back to the line of scrimmage, and then he had that one pick because he was throwing it across his body, and I think he was just trying to, just trying too hard, just trying to make something out of nothing, which happens.
Yep.
I mean, that's just being a competitor.
And he's a freshman.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, he hasn't he's been at Oregon State, he's been at Boise State, but when has he played really on for a good amounts of times? He might have had like backup roles where it was mop up time against twos.
I even think then it was something like 6 plays or something. Boy, I mean, it wasn't a whole lot. So this is just real true like first, and that's why I think that we're just going to see him get better and better and better.
Yeah, it says that there was one sack.
Okay,
so I don't know if it was. Because off the top of my head, I don't think Vidlac got sacked. It might have been a McDowell kind of scrambling out. I can't remember.
It could have been too. I don't remember him being on the back, and that was nice to see, especially like after, in the years past when our quarterbacks have gotten beat up pretty bad. I know, again, people are like, well, it's a Pioneer team, but they're still over there. Those guys are trying their dangest to get over to us. And, my point is that we got a veteran offensive line, and I think we played both the first team and the 2 deep throughout the game, so everybody got snaps, which is good, and they're just going to keep improving as well.
Yeah, and I really think that the offensive line dominated in that second half.
Mm-hmm.
The first half, I think it was kind of feeling each other out and stuff. Where I thought, if we want to be a great team this year, our offensive line has got to rise, and not to be, mean or anything, but, it's been adequate. It's been good. Not great, but if you're going to be a team like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, the other team, they both all have great offensive lines and defensive lines. We have to get there with our offensive line where, let's go. Let's run until we.
With those run plays, you watch our O-line, they're making their first blocks, and they're keep going down the field. And then it's one thing I love about Bobby Houck coach teams, those receivers are blocking like they're ends on it. And that's what's helping us bust these runs. And it's going to they do that all season. Teams are going to quit. They don't like that, where you just keep coming after them. And I saw a lot of that. And that just gives me a lot of promise that we're going to see more and more of that, where we're just, forcing our will onto these teams. And I don't know, I'm hopeful that we see a lot more of that against Utah Tech this next weekend.
Well, yeah, definitely. And, we did, it's hard to say with the offense, and people are going to say, hey, there wasn't that much difference but Bobby isn't one of those people where you're going to see his sleeve of what he has. No. You're just not going to.
No, he likes to put, like, we saw some trick plays and stuff.
Yeah.
He said in the past, he likes to throw those out in the first game just so their teams have to practice them. He's doing that just so Utah Tech has to practice a few of those.
Yeah.
Same with the, fake punts and the swinging gate or whatever, that they do. That's all just like put it on film. But I mean, I that first drive on the offense, it felt different. It was like, whoa, yeah, this feels like Brent Peace. We're going and quick.
Well, and it was refreshing because we did take those chances, right? We did, and I don't know how many big plays we had over 20 yards last year, but I know that it probably was counted on both hands. And this first week we had 2 or 3 where they were at least over 20 yards. And so, I think that we have to look at it as a a whole package and not just one game,
Right.
where you're just not going to know. You aren't. Even this week, you might see one or two new things.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're going to see the whole gamut of what they're going to do with this offense. But I was very impressed with both quarterbacks. Very impressed with Gilman.
Mm-hmm.
19 attempts, 119, 120 yards and one touchdown.
He's
I was.
special.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, Gilman. I was just agreeing. He's Gilman's special.
Yeah.
You can tell he's got that it factor.
Yeah, and just totally just like with there was a couple times where it took 3 or 4 guys to bring him down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always great. And he really does fall forward, which is always a good thing to see in a running back too, where he's not falling backwards, he's falling forward and getting that extra yards. So
going downhill.
Exactly. So and then McDowell, 11 attempts for 81 yards. That second half, he did amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that we would have had a little bit more of the other backs. Xavier did a good job. He had kind of sparingly. He had nine attempts with 48 yards, which, man, that guy can just do a whole lot of different things.
Yeah. And I think Osmo only got in one play.
Yeah.
And it was like decoy. I think he's a little banged up still is what I'm thinking, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But
yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see which ones go because we didn't see Childs at all. Only saw Osmo once, and so it'll be interesting to see who moving on we see. But by the beginning of the first offensive series, you did see them take more of a hey, we're going to get it to Bergen.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. It's like finally they're feeding him the ball. That's what it felt like. It's like, get that kid the ball in space and watch out what he can do. And what we saw with that touchdown play, it's like, man, they got him across and he just good blocking from the receivers. And I mean, really, he didn't really need a whole lot of blocking because he was gone.
Yeah.
But just awesome to see that we're getting him the ball because I felt like last year we totally lacked on getting him the ball like we should. So it's nice to see that they're kind of focusing on getting him the rock.
Yeah, and totally just with that, and I think people are going to say, hey, we didn't get him the ball so much. He had 4 receptions. He was probably targeted twice that much. And then the second half, it just didn't lend to what, throwing the ball where we were so dominant on passing the ball.
He did have a touchdown pass too, so.
He did have. He did
play quarterback for senior back in high school. So
he did.
That's why it never makes me nervous when I see him throwing the ball because he does have experience with it. And again, that's let's do this and make the other team practice it next week because once it's on film, they got to practice it.
Well, and I hope that they get Fonts because he's another guy that has so much talent. We have not seen only glimpses of. And, he had 4 receptions for 45 yards and, White had 4 receptions with 51 yards. So they all had 4 receptions. I just think that they got the trio of wide receivers there. Sawyer Recanelli, after that missed catch he had a good catch and a good run as well. It's just trying to find what you can do to kind of open that up. It'll be really interesting to see if they kind of just go spread one of these days where they have all those guys out there and they use Bergen as we
went empty a couple times in the game.
Yeah.
Which was a surprise because we hadn't done that a whole lot. But yeah, I was very refreshed to just seeing the play calling and the variety. I mean, just the difference from what we had last year to this year. It was noticeable to me.
Oh yeah. We didn't run like the same play 4 times in a row. So that was kind of nice to see.
The only one that I was baffled on was when we were down there at the goal line, and I thought, all right, give it to Clifton and let him. I mean, he's huge. Let him punch it. And then we handed the ball off, and we're like, what? And that was the one thing Osmo was in on, and it was like, what are we doing? What?
Yeah.
Give him, just pound it. We got a big old line, and he's a big human, and just pound it in there. And that was the only one I was just like, I think we're getting too cute here.
And then I think the next play they did that exact same play as they had McDowell run it in. Anything last thoughts on the offense? Where it can take us, and I've been on this podcast. I think that our offense this year is going to take us a little bit farther, where we're going to have to rely on our offense a little bit more than usual, out of necessity, and also just out of pure just, hey, we've got to relieve our defense of just killing them through the whole season.
Yeah, that was I guess the one point, that part in the game where we had a few 3-and-outs. I was like, come on now, we got to keep the defense off the field. And I really think that we have the potential to do that with our offense.
Yeah.
We just saw, to me, it felt like the tip of the iceberg on some of this. Like there's a lot more to come. And especially as the two quarterbacks, get their rhythm going. And who knows, we might see one of them emerge. And I mean, personally, I feel like it's gonna be Vidlac. I just felt like he's got that it factor. And like you said, we might see some dual packages, or, I feel like if for some reason one of the quarterbacks went down, we got a good backup, not like, oh crap, we're in trouble. And have another Weber State situation like we did last year. Again, though, I'm not going to blame it on Chris Brown. I feel like the play calling was terrible.
Oh, it was horrible.
They didn't call towards his strengths or anything. So but that doesn't help. Like this year, look at the different play calling when Clifton was in compared to Sam. I mean, it was two different. I mean, so that they played to their strengths, and that was so refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the offense has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see what they do this weekend against Utah Tech.
Yeah, I want to see, Clifton only threw 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And, you hear that, and I've heard, and I think, Luke, you've heard too, that he has a better arm than people have said.
Yeah.
I would like to see it. I'm still worried with having a backup. We just don't know.
Makes you wonder if Bobby's going, hold it and we'll surprise people.
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact that that's probably what he's doing.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it, but it's true.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that would be kind of nice to kind of say, okay, we do have a backup quarterback that could do some things. But also, I think that Bobby, and looking at the 2 deep guys, it's still Orr.
Yeah, it's still Orr. It was released again today, and it still says Orr.
Yeah, and so I think that's out of necessity of he wants to push these guys to take that leap. Who's going to take that leap? Who's going to be the number one guy? Yeah. I think I totally agree with you, Luke. I think it will be Sam, and I think packages with McDowell will have that. But I just hope that we can push the ball consistently. Yeah. We have not played a great team, and these 5 games that we have are going to be exactly like last year, where we should beat these people, right? Yeah. And we should beat Butler, and probably isn't by how much we want. But going off of the predictions, Luke and I both didn't do very well. I think Luke, you won, but we both thought they'd get in the 40s, and they didn't. They got into the 35s. Well,
I still think we could have at the end, and
that
guy had that cheap shot, and they threw one at it, but then he stopped again. It was like, I think if we really wanted to, we could have, but it was in hand. No need to. But
so I think we've got some good things to build off of. Going into this week, it's going to be another step, right?
With these 5 games that people might say they're easy, the fact that our quarterbacks, like we keep talking, are so raw still.
Yeah.
They need these games to get that, just get them that playing experience. Especially, the veteran guys all look great out there.
Yeah.
They're hitting their assignments. The younger guys are all still learning stuff. And that's these games like this that helps us. And so I'm glad that we've got, 5 non-Big Sky games where you're not, because the Big Sky is the top 6 is strong this year. We saw that this last week. So I'm pleased that we don't play UC Davis until week 6, when hopefully we've got, everything kind of ironed out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go to the defense. What we saw in the defense, what we liked. We did see, we saw some good things. We saw some bad things, right? The safeties and cornerbacks, they had their up and down kind of areas. We saw the great plays of the interception by Fouch, Fouch. No, that was Gradney. Sorry.
Gradney laid out.
Amazing.
That was awesome. And Gradney has taken some huge strides. I mean,
Yeah.
he's starting now, and he is. Yeah, he looks really. I thought he looked really good. I was impressed with his play for the most part.
Well, and I really liked how they had Ronald Jackson out there too. He did a good jobs and when he was in there, so they were kind of going 3 deep with that with Walker and Gradney and Jackson. The safeties. Fouch had that huge hit that hopefully, if you have not seen, you definitely go check out.
Yeah, freight train, and it was textbook. Like,
oh yeah,
as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
I was like, there better not be a flag, and there
no,
refs,
no,
refs did it too. It was just like, that was perfect.
Yep,
that's exactly how you teach it.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. Like so bad, but so good. Hopefully, the guy is doing okay.
So, speaking of the defense, there's an FCS channel that the Big Sky announced their top 5 plays.
Yeah.
Well, there's volleyball in there and stuff. The only football plays. Number 3 was Gradney's pick, and number 1 was the hit, the freight train hit. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I was seeing that, and it's out on the Twitterverse if you're looking to see that.
Well, and I think it made top plays in the Sports Center too, so it was going viral.
Yeah, Sports Center was putting that thing everywhere.
Yeah,
ESPN's like, oh, get that going. That's an awesome hit. People love that stuff.
Yep. So I think we said we saw some good things. We also saw some plays where they kind of they stretched our cornerbacks a little bit and our safeties a little bit, which going into this game you kind of worry about, because this next game Utah Tech is kind of the spread air raid offense, as you mentioned offline, Luke. So we're going to have to take that next step and see how well we do. What were your thoughts on that, Luke?
Well, I mean, I think that I think at safety we're very strong, actually. I was impressed with their safety play. Ryder Meyer I think he's playing Robbie's old position and had 12 tackles, and so that's just that position just puts you in the right position to get tackles. But I think we got some more speed back there. I thought our safety play looked really good. I was impressed with our linebacker play too. Gubner is a man-child. That guy.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So last year, I don't think their quarterback got sacked maybe a couple times, and we got to him. Like I was super impressed with Butler's quarterback. I mean, there's a reason that kid's on the Peyton list. He's making plays and stuff, and we were pressuring him, and the receivers are making crazy catches. I was impressed with their offense, but I also was very happy to see how we were putting pressure on him, and Riley Wilson didn't disappoint. I thought he'd show up and do some stuff, and I think he had at least 1 sack, and he was in the backfield a bunch.
Yeah,
but overall, I thought our defense looked pretty dang good. Other than huge mistakes here and there, but everything I saw wasn't like egregious. It's all correctable stuff that can be. I feel like coached and corrected.
Yeah, and I think that people, and I think I even did it too, you go off of last year, right, where you've got Patrick O'Connell and Wellnow and all those guys, and you look at the pressure that they dialed up, and it was extreme, right? And then you look at this first game, and they're like, whoa, what's going on? Well, you've got to look at, Giannicaro, he played, but he didn't start. A lot of those guys. Those other guys, instead of Braxton Hill, did not play starting minutes in the defense. They sparingly played. So there's a lot of getting used to different roles, just like basketball. Your role changes. You've got to adapt to that and learn what's expected of you. I think that Riley did well. He's still probably learning the defense as well. I hope that we can continue to get off blocks, because I think farther down when we play better teams, our guys have to get off blocks.
Yeah.
Where we got off blocks this game, okay. And I think we probably could have done a little bit better of a job of getting off blocks when we didn't get pressure. But I think that playing a better team, we're going to have to make sure that we get off blocks.
Well, and I feel like going into Utah Tech, we're gonna see a few more sacks, and I think we're gonna put a little more pressure on this quarterback.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to.
It's gonna be because they are. When you run that air raid, you can kind of pin it back a little bit more and go for it. And so, but again, I don't want to. put anything down. And Butler's they're a veteran offensive line. I know people are like, oh, it's non-scholarship, but these kids were good. They were a decent offensive line. There's a reason why their quarterback didn't get touched last year, and these guys are all back.
Yeah.
They were good, and so I thought this was a good first test. I mean, I still think we look better, and like I said, Gubbs looked really good. Edwards looked great. I mean, for the most part, I was pretty impressed how they were all flying around. Boy, when you get those big hits like that, though, it just energizes everybody. And
yeah,
for the most part, I was pretty pleased with their performance.
I was really impressed by Butler's tight end. He made a lot of plays that I thought, he was a big guy and he made some hand plays, and so I'm really impressed by that. And in all those amazing catches by Butler, our guys were there.
Well, they were
in their position. They just Butler won those battles.
Yeah.
And I think you really kind of have to look at the cornerbacks there and say, okay, you were in position. If you're in position, you've got to go win those plays now.
Yeah.
And so I think that this week, I think you're going to be the coaches are going to be like, hey, you were here. What do you need to do to get better? These are the battles you need to win now.
Let's get better. And I think that's the key, is just getting better each week. But my favorite play, though, by Butler was when he threw it. The quarterback forgot the play that 75 was pretending to be open, and he threw it to him anyways. And
the lineman where he was like this.
Our defense covered it perfect. They knew exactly what was going on. He was ineligible. They went and covered the eligible lineman. And, I was just like, oh, man. The quarterback is the one who forgot. Like, oh, yeah, you're not eligible.
I thought it was awesome because I don't know if he was using him as a decoy or what, but he was just waving his hands.
He was supposed to be a decoy because they're supposed to make our guy suck down, so it opens up the other guy. And our D did great. They didn't fall for it a bit, and their quarterback fell for it himself. Like, oh yeah, you are open. He was getting pressured again. You're getting pressure on him.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, anything else you want to touch on the defense, Luke?
Not really. I like I said, I think I was more. I feel I'm more optimistic about our defense after watching it. There was a lot more question marks for me going into the game. Now that I've seen them play, I feel like they're all on the same page, and they're. I think they're going to really, surprise a lot of people this year, because I think a lot of people think after losing 3 All-Americans, we're not reloading, and it feels like we've reloaded pretty well to me.
Yeah. I still think, and I'm more pessimistic a little bit, not totally pessimistic, but I think we still got a long ways to be where we want to be.
Yeah.
I think we have some great players that we've kind of filled those spots with that may not be where we left off. You're not going to replace Ford and O'Connell and replace their percentage of plays, right? It's going to be more spread out to everybody, and that's what you saw this weekend. It's just not one guy; it's spread out across a lot of guys. And so I think we've got to make sure that we kind of evaluate ourselves where we don't have three All-Americans and then the rest of the defense. We have really good guys all the way around the defense, and each guy is going to have to do their part to do what they did. I was really excited that, if my eyes do not play tricks on me, they did play Gubner and Ramos at the same time a couple times, and they did play a 4-3.
I believe we ran a 4-3. We even had a 3-4 a couple times.
Yep.
They're doing some different fronts, so we're not. I mean, I still believe the 3-3-5 is our base.
Yep.
And that's partially just based on the people we have, because we are thin on the D line a little bit.
Yep.
And so, but I did see some of that happen. So Ronald Jackson's experimenting with some stuff, and I do know that they're working on some different zone coverages and things, because we got Timmy Houck there helping us with things like that. So there's some new wrinkles that we're going to be seeing with this defense that we haven't seen before. So that's exciting too, just to see some of these new things that they're going to bring out.
Yeah, I had to pause. So ESPN Plus, I think they need to be our sponsor, because I pause it and stuff like that and go back, and I'm like, did I just see 4? A 4 front? I'm like, wait a minute, I got to go back and see that. And I was like, yeah, that is. So
I love being able to rewind plays and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I was excited about that, because I'm not a believer in the 3-3-5, but I know that right now with the players that we have, we just have to, unless we get some more offensive or not defensive line guys. So, but yeah, I think that's great news. I think our defense is going to keep on getting better. It's just I think we just need to make sure that we keep on developing the areas we need to develop, and hopefully we don't get hit by the injury bug.
And Bobby's in the teams, he's always notoriously going, we need to be playing our best football by November. And so it's just going to hopefully progressively just get better and better and better as they go on.
Yep. And we mentioned, the kicker, but we didn't really mention the punter.
Yeah.
Travis, I think his name's Benham, or I can't pronounce his name. I know his first name's Travis. He did a really good job, and did well with what we had to do. I think he had, going off of the team said here, like punting yards. Where are we at now? Oh, punting. We had 3 punts, 141 yards. So that's a 47-yard average, which that if you looked at that, like I think our average last year was 42, I believe. If I'm mistaken, it might be a little bit higher than that, but anything over 40 is really good.
Yeah. No,
he had one inside the 10, one that was 50 plus. So, and then one fair catch. So there's your, I thought it was
I was pleased with his performance. He looked good. Our snapper was snapping the ball good to him. It looked good. And then, keeping with special teams, they kicked it to Bergen once and maybe twice. And then after the first one, they're like, nope, don't kick it there anymore. We're kicking to the up back. And, there's a reason why was a preseason All-American for special teams. And I'm hoping more people want to kick to him so we can see some stuff. Cause I think he has the potential. We know he has the potential to break it and get us some scores on special teams as well.
Well, the press conference that Bobby had, he was there and he was like, "Oh, I left some yardage out on the field," and Bobby was like, "Yeah, let's go watch the film and see where you left yardage out on the field." And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Always looking for feedback and looking to improve.
Exactly. So it was kind of a weird, kind of awkward. Like, yeah, you did. But yeah, I think that we've got some special players. I even think Fonts would be a nice guy back there a little bit too. If we need to,
a lot of times
some rest.
If they're not back there, it's because catching that ball is different.
Yeah.
And that's generally, I think with Bobby, you got to prove to him that you can catch it before anything else. As long, as long as you can fill that ball, then you get to go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, let's move on to Utah Tech, formerly known as Dixie State, which I think we played them in 2021 when they were Dixie State, right?
Yep, that was I think the last year they were Dixie State.
Yeah, so they are now Utah Tech. Last year, 2022, they went 4-7. They played weren't they in like the WAC kind of thing? Funny,
but now they're on their website, and it still says that they're a part of the WAC.
Okay, because now they're in the United Athletic Conference.
Yeah, and that's like the WAC and the ACE. I don't know, two of them combined to now form that. Whatever.
So they don't have they have no auto bid this year to get into the playoffs, but they are trying to form a new league and get that auto bid. Where they've got some good teams on that conference.
Well, I think Utah Tech, because they moved up from D2, I think this is their last year of ineligibility, because FCS has that rule where you have to play so many years.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was weird. When you're moving up, who cares? It's
exactly
different if you were an FBS moving down.
Yeah.
To have that rule. But when you're moving up D2 to FCS, I'm like, well, if they're that good, why not let them?
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But
yeah, well, you look at some of the teams that play in the United Football Conference, or United Athletic Football Conference, as they say. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. You have Abilene Christian as a Texas school. You have
Northern Colorado this last week.
Yep. You have Tarleton State, which is another Texas school. North Alabama, Austin P, Southern Utah, which we know of.
Yeah.
Eastern Kentucky, excuse me, Stephen F. Austin, and then Central Arkansas. So some pretty good, I would say mediocre, kind of good conference for football. That it's not approaching.
There's been years Stephen F. Austin's had good programs. I mean, there's all those ones. I mean, a lot of them, I think people will recognize those names
Oh,
because
exactly.
they've been good.
I think Eastern Kentucky back in the day was pretty good too, as well.
Yeah.
So I think you've got a good conference where they're coming from. They finished 4-7, and they're still trying to make their jump up to FCS conference. They lost pretty handedly, 63-20 to the Cats. Unfortunately, I paid my due, and I did 3/4 of that game, and I lost a lot of brain cells. So if I'm talking differently, I blame that on that.
You did better than me. I made it 1/4. It was like, I cannot look at these yellow jerseys any longer.
I can't hear the word Gold Rush one more time.
God. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was horrible. But they've got some good guys. They've got a new linebacker that was pretty good. They've got 2 quarterbacks that seem like that they can do the job.
Mm-hmm.
One of their guys was a redshirt freshman, Boone Abbott, that played a little bit last year. And then also, I think his name was like Kobe
Tracy.
There you go. I couldn't read my handwriting. Gosh. See, that's what happened. You watch a little bit of cat game, and then you start, your handwriting starts going bad. I think both of those guys played in, I think, 4 or 5 games last year. They weren't the starter, and they didn't win that competition. But they are losing their starting quarterback, their running back, and their wide receiver from their team a year ago. They do bring back a guy in wide receiver, Ricky Johnson, he was their best wide receiver that game. He had 9 receptions, looked like he could play. And then they've got a couple guys, a freshman, which he looked really good too. Bo Sparks had 6 receptions. One of them was a pretty long pass down the field as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not, know what Utah Tech likes to do, they throw the ball.
Yeah, that air raid. They've stolen some stuff from Mike Leach, and it's the run and shoot is what they want to run in. They got some weird stances. People, I mean, we've seen it before in the past. I remember that you get some of these O lines that are way out there. Their spreads are way out, and so that's what they're doing a little bit, is really trying to spread you out and throw the ball all over the field.
Yeah, a lot of different kind of formations. They did not really run the ball. They had 49 rushing yards, 260 passing yards against the Cats for a 309. They scored 20 points. That game was for the first quarter. It was a game.
Yeah,
and then the second, third quarter, they just kind of
the first quarter. I mean, you could tell Utah Tech was there to play. I mean, they were trying, and they did stop Montana State's run game a few times. And
that first play,
State was running
that
up
first,
the
middle. First play where they stuffed them on that 4th and goal. I was like, dang, wow, this might be a game. I was like, I got to watch a little bit more.
Holy cow, they're stuffing them, and then Montana State wore them out. Really, it's just
yeah. And so they did get 3 interceptions last week as well, so that they will pass the ball. So our cornerbacks will have to be ready. Safeties will have to be ready to be able to make those plays and get those turnovers.
Be nice to see Gradney do some more of that stuff.
Exactly. That was such an amazing interception.
Awesome interception.
I have never seen someone go from one shoulder and jump and make like a stride, maybe a half stride, and jump and make that difference up and go to the other shoulder without even touching it.
Yeah. It was a thing of beauty. It was perfection. It was just that's why I'd like to see a lot more of that. And I think we will from Gradney.
Yep. So I think that this week's going to be another test. I think that it's going to be good for our cornerbacks and safeties to test them. It's also going to test our linebackers and our defensive ends, in our defensive front to get that pressure. I expect they're not going to see a pressure like we bring in any game that they're going to see. Yeah. They're not going to be able to kind of match our physicality in that realm, where we're going to be hitting those holes, and hopefully, they're not ready for it, and we make a couple plays and it kind of is out early, and we can kind of see some other wrinkles in the defense and also in the offense.
Yeah. I'm really hoping to see this just make progress from last game and take it to them a bit.
Yeah.
On the road. And this is, some people might think this is kind of weird, but we might see some better performances out of our quarterbacks, not having to deal with the amped up Grizz, it's a little calmer there and stuff. And sometimes that actually, when you're new and you're brand new out there, that can actually make it a little more calmer for you. It's like, okay, I don't have all this stuff just coming down on me, 25,000. You're like, holy crap. It's like, let's just go out here and play ball and have fun.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if we, see a little bit better game out of us because of that.
Yeah, exactly. You've got also Cannon Pamphilov, who came from Utah. I almost did it too. Utah Tech.
He's feeding everybody stuff, and that's just like having a spy in the locker room for you and telling you about everybody, because he's going to know the players that were there.
Yep.
Their stuff, and he can do those little things like, before the play starts, say this to them.
Yeah,
just those little things like that give you that edge.
Yeah,
I'm sure Cannon's helping everybody out with that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun to see. Also, I always like to see how we respond on our first road game, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes like last year, I thought we played amazing at Sac State until we got kind of injury bug, and we still played
well to the very end.
Played well to the very end, which was awesome to see. Then you look at Weber State, that Weber State game where we didn't, and I think that was kind of two different things, and where it was not playing well, and also coaches too. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how we play against Utah Tech, being our first road game. Yeah. Different guys and different responsibilities, and who steps up. See how those captains handle that.
I was curious too, because Utah Tech is in St. George, Utah, which is at the very southern point, close to Arizona. So Friday day, high of 98, low of 63. Oh, so I'm just looking, right at 8:00 at night, it's still 81 out. Now the nice thing is when the sun goes down, that's helpful. Yeah. But the fact that our boys just played in 100 and some degree heat, that actually probably helped them to prepare for this thing, so that they're ready to play in the heat again. So I think I'm glad it's a night game, because I think that's going to benefit us a lot as well. The fact that it's not going to be blazing sun heat out there in the middle of the day.
And Luke, maybe you can answer this too. Like, after going through that, I understand, working outside and doing heavy equipment and stuff like that, and working in those heat, it's hard. It takes you a day to recover, if not more, with that extreme heat. How, these guys have to be, and the training staff I know will be constantly on these guys. You've got to prepare, because that game we saw some people going cramps, but it's not initially the first game that you get depleted. It's that second game where you see the after
these guys are hydrating right now. The thing that's I guess a thing that gets people don't get sometimes is like, oh, day of the game, you're hydrating. No, you need to hydrate 3-4 days ahead of time. Exactly. Get your body hydrated correctly. You keep that going. That's how you keep your body in top physical shape to handle that kind of weather. It's not hydrate the day before, or 24 hours, or 48. They're all hydrating right now to make sure that they're ready. Especially after last week, and they're going, oh my, if anybody was cramping, I'm sure the training staff, everybody's on them to make sure that they're getting hydrated properly so that they're ready. And then, the other thing I remember learning, I didn't know this until football, because that's when I started flying, that how dehydrated you get when you fly. You actually dehydrate when you're flying. So I remember them making everybody pound water when you're flying and stuff. So they'll be, I'm sure, Bobby will be making sure everybody's really well hydrated for this game.
Yeah, definitely. Those are just the small things that I think kind of play into road games and playing at night, being out of your own bed, and then out of your own kind of what you do in the game plan. I think this is going to be something that where this first one, we're going to have a lot of road games. We're going to also have a lot of night games where I hope these guys say, okay, what are we doing right now? This is what we need to replicate for these other night games, and say, okay, we've done it once, we can do it again, so that it's not taxing for them, that they kind of build onto that.
Yep, I agree.
So, any predictions, man? I think any last thoughts before we get to predictions, and we do have a couple of fan questions.
I think we're gonna see a lot of our defense getting pressure on that quarterback. With our really like the run and shoot, the 3-3-5 doesn't. It actually kind of bodes well with 5 backers, 3 linebackers, and when you're the old voodoo defense, you're sending people which they don't know where they're coming from. That can really mess with their pass scheme. Or if you all remember when Gubbs was just I think a freshman or sophomore, he was leading the team in interceptions because we were dropping him back. And that's the kind of thing I could see them doing, is dropping Gubbs back and sending other people and things. And so I'm excited to see what our defense does this weekend against this run and shoot, because it could get kind of exciting and we could have a multiple pick and multiple sack kind of game. And I really think we're going to see that quarterback on his back quite a bit.
Exactly. I totally think so too. Just going off, and I'm trying to get the Twitter. We had somebody message us on Twitter that they wanted a question. So Brian Legreed, is it Legreed? He said, would there be this level of uncertainty at QB if the receivers didn't drop a few of the best throws in college football during the first half on Saturday?
Yeah. He's talking about Vidlac throwing dimes, and he was. And I don't. The fans that have uncertainty just don't know. Like, they don't recognize what was going on out there. Like, Brian recognizes it, and I think a lot of our fans that are diehards recognize that and saw what Vidlac was doing and the potential that he has out there. Yeah. And I guarantee you, Pease was on them receivers. Going, catch the ball. Look, we want to keep extending drives. Catch the damn ball.
Well, one of those passes would be for a touchdown, so that's 42-20. I think if you're 42-20, it's 7 points, but it is that
different when you got that 4 on the scoreboard versus a 3.
Exactly. Well, and your 3 touchdown lead, I think you can kind of say, oh well, we beat them handedly.
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes into it, but also some of those drops were some that would have probably made us into a little bit better of a situation going for it, or even prolonging a
well, it just keeps the drive going and keeps the mo going and stuff. As soon as your momentum's going, and I mean, football's a momentum game, and next thing you know, there's a drop and another drop, and it's like, geez, what the because you're as a quarterback, you can start losing a little confidence because they just keep dropping the ball. You're like, geez, I'm throwing dimes, and you're not. Come on, catch the ball. So they're going to improve on that. Those are things that can be that can be coached and people can improve on. They're not egregious, mistakes or, totally running the wrong play and stuff. So we're going to, I'm hoping that we see more completions this week and just a step up on everybody's game this week.
Exactly. Totally. And Brian, thank you for giving us a question, man. Totally appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions, make sure that you guys reach out to us. We usually try to put a eGriz kind of thing out there to get questions as well on Twitter as well, to get those questions out there. So if you guys got your questions, if you guys want to participate with us on this podcast, definitely we want to hear from you. All right, man.
I have to admit something.
Yes.
I don't go on eGriz.
You don't go on eGriz?
No.
Really?
For years. Some things it gets me too fired up at times. some of the people's comments on there that I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my! And so I stay off of that. So any of the questions are egress, Adam, you're gonna have to make sure you look at those.
It's okay. I
Now,
think
the Twitterverse I'm on all the time. I'm a big Twitter guy, but
yeah. Sometimes you can go down a rabbit hole and it's interesting. Sometimes you find some things where you're like, okay, and then sometimes it's just like, okay, I gotta stop. You don't want to go down there, because sometimes I'm just like. So for eGrizz, you have to make sure that it's actually a Grizz fan, because there are a whole lot of
I've
cat
heard
fans on there.
A lot of cat fans just trying to troll out there, and that's
the
thing is,
it is sad. Like, wow, you have that much time to troll on a Grizz site? Like, go.
I am not a fan of the cats just as much as anybody, but
yeah,
I don't, because I don't know. Why would I ever spend time on their site? I don't give a crap about that to me.
Exactly.
That's like I watched the first quarter. I was like, I ain't gonna watch these yellow dang jerseys anymore. It was done. So I don't understand why they're so stuck on having to be on our site. It's like, you guys kicked the crap out of Utah Tech. Enjoy it, celebrate.
Exactly.
They're more concerned about the Grizz and what we did against freaking Butler. It's like, geez, man, let it go.
It's a little bit concerning. It's almost like a complex, I think.
Living rent free up in that head of theirs. That's what we're doing.
Lord. Good Lord. Yeah, that's scary. Predictions, man.
I got mine written down.
Okay, I have not mine even close. But last week, 42-10. That's what you had. I had 45-3. So going off that, you won by like 17 points.
Yeah,
you were 17 away, and I was a whole lot away. I was like 27. So you definitely beat me on that one. We were both thought we had both had a little bit more points than what they did. But what's yours, Luke?
First game is always harder too, just to figure out what we're doing. And
I'm horrible.
I will admit, Butler. I was one where I was like, Pioneer Conference, whatever, and that quarterback he's the real deal.
Well, it'll be interesting to see going down further. Like, I'm going to really want to make sure that, and I'll be cheering for Butler too, because if they do well, that just furthers our stock up that, hey, we beat a good team.
I will be keeping my eye on Butler all year.
Yeah,
definitely, especially that quarterback. I mean, there's a reason why he's on the Walter Payton Award list at the preseason, and he's a non-scholarship, and that says something.
Exactly. But, and if we beat Utah Tech, when we beat Utah Tech, we'll cheer for Utah Tech, because each one it makes us a little better.
Once we beat you, then I'm a fan.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so I've been debating this back and forth, and here I'm at 45-19, Grizz.
Ooh.
I think we're gonna open it up, and no, it's not. We're 63-20 that the Cats did, but we're on the road, and I do think we're gonna open it up more. We're gonna get some more points up there, and that's where I'm at, 45-19.
Okay. I should have thought about this. Like, I did not think about this, but I do think they're gonna get some points on us. I don't think it's gonna be 20. I think it'll be under 20. I think we're exactly like Luke said. We're going to get some pressure on them. But I don't know. I think that I don't want to say in the 40s. I think I'm going to go. I want to say 37-13.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's just a horrible score or not, but hey, one time I got to win one of these once in a while.
If it's 37-13, I'll take it. I'd be totally fine with that score.
As long as we're beating them by 3 touchdowns, I don't really care.
Yeah, I agree. So I got one more thing for you here.
Yes.
There's this app called the Versus app that that gives you simulation.
So we talked about this last time off the air.
Yeah, I ran it right now, and Versus claims that the Grizz will win 42-21. I'll take that too.
Yeah. Well, what was the Butler game that they said?
49-0. So
they were way off.
They were way off on that one. So we'll see. We were close.
Stupid algorithms and
the simulator with all their metrics. It definitely tightens up as the year goes on, because I like to play with that every year and just check scores and see how close it gets. And
Yeah.
as it gets more metrics in the system, it definitely you definitely see it get closer and closer. The other thing I'm going to let just everybody know, according to them, they give us rankings for if I can get this to work here, for the different like FCS, FBS, and stuff.
Yeah.
And gosh, if I can get this to work. Oh, here we go. Rankings. It has us at 9 right now in power rankings. In all the FCS.
Well, and what was surprising, and we talked about this off air, Luke, is we were 14, and I thought we moved up to 13. I definitely thought we probably would have went back other than forward, but hey, as long as we're moving forward one step at a time, at the end of the year, you just have to be ranked higher to get that seed. And I think that it's not just totally just where you're ranked, but it helps with that process.
And we like to look at all that stuff. And the nice thing is the team and everybody, they just look at us. We're 1-0 with a chance to go 2-0.
Exactly.
And that's all that matters right now is they're just focused on this next game. Next man up.
You know what would be funny is if they started Cannon at like on the offensive line just to play with Utah Tech.
or on the defense. Just
just
throw something weird, like I'm sure he'll play. I'm sure he'll be out there because that's just right up Bobby's alley to stick it to him somehow.
Well, and I had heard that the last game against Butler, they did play a couple backups too with the line. I think they went 7, 8.
Our offense, I think we went. I heard 9.
9.
Played 9 offensive linemen or something.
I knew I saw 7. I saw Liam come in, and then I saw McGinnis come back in, and then they played Kalua Lincoln. I know that they played him. So yeah, I think that's always good too. Going down the line in the year, we're gonna need backups because
guys get banged up, and that's why it's nice to get them. Anytime you get college snaps, it's just improving people and getting them more experience.
Yep. Well, I can't wait till Saturday, man. It can't come soon enough, man.
The good thing is we got a short week, and it'll be here before we know it.
Exactly.
Other than the fact that night games, it's like, God, what am I going to do all day? And I'm all amped up until night, but it'll be good.
It will. Hey guys, like always, man. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Please leave us if you're listening on Apple, please leave us a 5-star review and get our reviews up. They do use those to do whatever algorithm they do to get us out there more. So go help us out there. And also, if you guys want to get in touch with us, Instagram, Twitter at fightonmontana as well. And get us there as well. And we can't wait for another week. And we'll check you on the flip side.
Sounds great.